Welcome guys to an analytical video where I analyze a game that's 20 minutes long because I want to talk about certain variables that happened in this game that I played. For instance, I want to mention that the Katarina was a Smurf. I think she was about 80% win rate in Diamond 2, so it means her main is Master, and I want to analyze what she did wrong and why it's wrong to assume other players that are, well, not supposed to be good enough for you in mid lane, why you shouldn't play like she did against me, because her playstyle assumed the player according to the rank, and obviously I've been master, so I'm not bad or anything which she assumes, so she keeps doing the same thing, and that's what I want to take a look today in today's video. So let's get that underway, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. So let's start the clip. I went Aerie to abuse her early game, which I find standard on TF in this current meta and patch. Also played Nullifying Orb because her all-in is strong. Then I always go Celerity, and to top it off I went Scorch because I always try to kill her in lane. And Scorch is way more effective the 21st minutes, where Gathering Storm starts to outscale or get better 30 minutes onwards. And looking at their team comp, Scorch is a lot better because we can assume this will be a quick game for either team depending on how it unrolls. That's why I favor taking Scorch. As for the other three, I took Inspiration, I believe. No, I took Domination, sorry, that's a mistake on my part. Should have checked the items. Because I want to continue playing aggressive and I want it to use as a scaling with additional AP and using the aggressive rune page, which I find pretty common against Katarina. It's unfortunate she plays cleanse, but that's the correct way because Katarina doesn't need ignite to win against you. So now let's head into game and let's take a look at it. Hope you guys enjoy. I start the lane pretty standard. I try to hit that so I can set up the triple card. I know they have a Twitch jungle, so I'm respecting that. Even though he's already moving downwards, which I have a feeling. She fake wards the bottom side, which is good by her. I go for the blue card and they instantly leap me, so I choose to flash away here. Why? Because let's see what happened. And my epic penwood doesn't want to work. So the thing is, the Twitch came down from here. The Kata, she fake ward, and then she came back here and she instantly leaped me here. What I thought initially was if Twitch manages to gank me in a good position, it's more worth for me to instantly flash onwards. Why? Because I only lose one health potion rather than losing two or potentially my life. So I thought flashing instantly to preserve as much HP as possible would be the best option. And that's what I proceeded to do. And then I will let it play passive accordingly. Because of how the lane is, it should start to shove towards me because they've applied more pressure and my minions should be attacking them. So I can play passive and use this to crash in the wave even though I just wasted flash. Okay, let's continue the clip. They're spamming my flash, obviously, the chat, which wasn't available to me, but it's pretty standard. The Katarina is hitting my wave aggressively. She managed to do a nice shimp on the minions that jumps next to me, and she instantly takes advantage of it. So she's really quick, and she's obviously playing to a large comfort on her champion. I'm not trying to do anything to shove out the lane. Why? Because my jungle can maybe come and help me out, and it's easy to last hit from the point where I'm on at the moment, and I have a lot of safety around this area. And I know Twitch should be on the blue side to clear his blue buff, so this should be relatively fine and safe. The Xin Zhao was pegging that he wanted to gank, but there was no point, I think, because it was warded, Twitch might be there, and I have a huge wave crashing in. So I believe I pinged him back, because there was no point in time to gank him at the moment. I clean up the minions nicely, and the wave resets. Okay, here's something else I want to talk about is what I instantly tried to do in this game was I wanted to fake recall that I'm here by making her believe that I'm recalling. So I just hide beyond this wall so she thinks I'm recalling so she can crash in the next way. Why? Because bot lane is shoved if we look at the minimap. Top lane is fine, but we know that Twitch side is on blue side. So the only option for Twitch is to hope I'm being retarded and ganking here. And what does that do? Well, even if I'm here, Katarina have a chance of killing me on her own, but it's obviously the easiest lane to gank, so I want the wave to crash beyond this, not on this side where I'm gonna CS. So I want the wave to be approximate where the ranged are, so I can have the turret, and the Twitch and Katarina will have to dive me in their possible all-in. That's why I'm fake recalling, so she can start crashing in the wave and thinking I went back. She immediately jumps on the wave and shimpos it. I auto attack the melee ones to try and fix them before they crash into turret with my second Q. I Q most of them, and it's an easy pickup on all minions. Now I proceed to do the same thing where I recall. I let her view that I'm recalling. She immediately starts to shove it, and this time around I recalled because I knew I could buy the catalyst. Oh, I misspoke again. I bought boots, refillable and dark side, so I could just sustain and hurry back onto lane, where I won't miss as much minions because it was a cannon minion wave. And usually when I recall in this position, as you saw on the wave, I miss around 2 melee minions. And what this allows me to do is I only lose 2 minions, but I get a free recall. Why? Because, well, I need to recall, else she's just gonna hold me in lane and try to abuse her lead. So I need the recall to further making the lane easier or more accessible for me to farm. And for me, it's an obvious trade that 2 CS is worth a recall. If it costs more than 2 CS, that's bad for you because you have your passive, you can always come back from gold, from loaded dice, and the XP doesn't matter on 2 minions that much, especially in matchups which should be hard for you. So to get a recall off on level 4 is pretty common for me because because it's hard for most mid laners to shove out the lane at that point with a cannon minion because they have 7 minions they need to crash, and I'm running celerity and I'm usually buying boots, and I'm just running back to base instantly on port and buying, spam clicking my purchase as soon as I reach the minimap on base, and then I'm just heading down mid instantly. So I usually end up missing only 2 minions. I proceed to CS. The CSing is still pretty easy to clean up under the turret. Here I proceed to shove it out because I know Katarina is in base, so I want to do the same thing. What might make it up and doing is she might freeze this wave, but it's fine because I want to recall it yet another time because I'm allowed to, and she got to lane late, which I hoped would be the case because if we look at it, the wave would be around here and I'd have to long range Q it if she didn't freeze it. No, I mean if she froze it. I end up buying a rupee crystal because I know she's hitting 6 soon and I want to stay a bit more tankier. I head back to lane and she's shoving it again, which is kind of weird rather than trying to freeze it. But here's another thing I wanted to talk about is obviously she bought a pink ward, but what she ends up doing for the majority of the game is actually funny in a way because she keeps doing the same tendency, which is she's gonna shove and she's gonna head here. Why? Because she obviously has a pink ward, but I can't ever check this bush. Why? Because, well, Kata beats me, Twitch can beat me, and I just got my flash up. I want that to roam instead. And so far, even though she's smurfing, and she's maybe master on main, she hasn't done anything in lane to pressure me. And this we can see through the CSing. The CSing is pretty much fine, and I'm gonna pick those up, so I'm only 5 behind, even though Twitch ganked me and even though she's in a very favorable matchup and she has cleansed. She hasn't played the lane to her strengths, and she keeps trying to disrespect me and shove the lane in to try and find small things which won't work later on in the game, which I want to point out and discuss further. As for Twitch, he didn't find any success in jungle, which is bad for him because the way he played, he went and ganked mid, then he hacked blue side, and our bot lane is in a matchup where they're getting shoved in, so the Twitch is playing bad, and this is playing to the strength of our team fight because they have a Hymer support, they have a Twitch jungle, they want to make something with those pick work, else they're just gonna be really useless when it comes to later stage of the game and 5v5s. Alright, let's continue playing it out. I end up picking the minions pretty easy. I know the Katarina is gonna be around that area, so it's fine. They use the plant and we could see then where they are. We could assume Twitch is bot side too because Shinzao is on the top side. So here I'm just trying to farm it out as usual. And there we see Katarina yet again playing to the pink, playing to the side of her jungle, which is correct. But she's gonna rely way too much to do this, and she's not gonna vary her gameplay, which is really weird. Especially from a player that should be much better. But she won't really alter her playstyle or anything. Here her Shimpo lands, so I'm instantly trying to avoid it. And Twitch sees it, so he thought about ganking, but then he sees me here, and he thinks otherwise, because Katarina then needs to leap this and leap me here, and Twitch needs to come from this point and ult, but he's only level 4, and I can just flash again, so it's dead time for him, and he knows this, so he's just taking the Wraiths, which is more efficient, because he has that warded. And they should know Shinzao is either in their jungle or our topside jungle by the absence so far. Here I proceed to do the same thing. I recalled to let her show that I was recalling, and then I went again behind the cliff, and immediately she starts shoving out the lane, and as soon as she hits them and Shimpus, I come back to the lane because I can relatively easily clear the lane by this point because of how high my base damage is off the queue. And the lane has no problems. Here I can recall because I know the wave is coming in soon, and by the time the wave crashes, I can make the recall happen. The bad thing though, however, is meanwhile Shinzao knows that I've been playing on bottom side for the longest time. He ends up actually getting caught, and this is bad because Katarina has always played on the same side of the map, where she shoves mid and then she comes downwards on the minimap, and the Shinzao gets caught by this when he knows their vision is mostly bot center, and that we can clearly see by this ward, and the pink ward, and how Katarina has been playing. So the Shinzao hasn't paid any attention to the map, and he's unaware, and he shouldn't really come bot like this, especially when I'm recalling, and it just ends up with him getting killed, which is, well, bad, obviously. But let's unroll the clip. Luckily, the Twitch is retarded and takes the kill of Katarina, because theoretically the Twitch is out of the game. He's level 4, he hasn't gotten anything going, and he knows Katarina is smurfing, that's why he favored her to make the initial level 2 cheese gank and play to his champion strength. So he should have given it to Katarina to try and make my life more atrocious, especially of how safe I've been playing it. Because then she can start to shove it out more quickly, she can roam with him, and they can establish some dominance through the vision they have acquired on the bottom side. So I was pretty relieved to see that she ended up getting the assist instead of the kill. I know Katarina recalled, and this allows me to gank top after I shove the wave, which then makes me then kill the Eloy. It takes a bit longer than I thought, because even though he was and my dude told me he didn't really have a lot of stuff, he was still really hard for me to kill. I pinged Shin's out to cover my turret after him doing his wraiths or checking them, and he picks up the wave. The Katarina, however, still plays on the bottom side. She still does the same thing she's done since early levels, and she will still keep doing this the entire game. And this is what we call a tendency, when we can analyze what a player's playstyle is and how they want to approach the game. And she's always gonna be around here, here, or for the lookout to be on this side. This also tells us how Twitch wants to play. Twitch has ignored top. Twitch wants to play around the Infernal. He doesn't want anything to do on the map except being mid and bot centric. He doesn't give a fuck about top lane. And Katarina is playing around the side her jungler is, and the side she believes to be more abusive. Why? Because even if they gank Shen, they might lose Infernal out of it, she might lose turret off it, I can gank bottom, and she knows there's no real value in ganking the Shen. And since I discovered her early tendency of just shoving, disappearing bot side, I knew the lane was free for me because I wouldn't get ganked, and even though the Katarina is smurfing and she should be around master level, this makes it one of the easiest lanes I've ever played. Why? Because she keeps giving me stuff for free. There's no pressure to be had, there's no freeze, she's always looking for a pick, she's always trying to get something more, and she's obviously becoming really frustrated because she's more used to mid lanes being retarded, as to where they shove out aggressively, then they come down into the bush, maybe they try to get vision for the bot lane, they try to ward the Infernal, but I'm not doing anything of that because I know our team outscales, so even if they get Infernal it won't matter anything. And how the game is really fine for me to just allow myself to keep scaling, and it's relatively easy for me to just play it as it is to acquire a lead. Let's continue with the clip. And this we can see from the CSing. The CSing is still close. It doesn't matter. I spam pinged bot lane that she was roaming. They saw it and they avoided the gank. The Twitch wasn't there to apply maybe a potential dive. And my bot lane have two champions that are really good. I knew the Katarina was bot side, so I wanted to shove out the lane and recall. So I ended up taking a healthy chunk of damage. The Shinzao knows that she might go in on me, so he's showing up to try and counteract if they're going on me. I end up playing on the backside. Why? Because I'm abusing one of the early tendencies which I've seen in her, and yet again she tries to shove in the wave when I'm hiding behind the wall or sitting behind turret, and I keep doing this to abuse her, to make the same mistake and tendency to give me the lane for free, and then she usually will head bot side anyway. The only difference is she's heading top now, because the Eloy was fighting, but the Eloy flashes out and it resets and she doesn't get anything from it. I pinged my team she was coming, because I have cooldown on ult and I don't want to follow a Kata that can turn and kill me. So I'm glad the Eloy flashed early rather than later, because Katarina for sure could have picked up perhaps the 2v2 if Eloy just kept pumping out damage and made it possible for her to pick up the 2 kills after he had died, because there was no way of me following it in case Twitch shows up, in case it gets turned. So I just spam pinged them, and I'm glad Eloy took the safe route out rather than trying something. I hide behind the wall again. She shoves out. I blue card that minion because it's safe and I saw her cooldowns and from where she's standing, and then I can easily just pick up the wave yet again and play around to my strength. I finally take out the zombie ward that's been in front because it's pretty forward and she's usually in lane. Now she shows a different kind of tendency, but it's about the same, where she's playing around the Twitch, which is correct from her side, but I can clearly tell her tendencies this far, how she wants to play and what she wants to do. Bot lane ends up getting the kill, and my ult is up, and I knew Twitch was top side because I saw him stealth through my ward, and I know he's heading bot too. What makes me think then is Katarina, I know she's around here if I calculate the speed, and Twitch should always obviously be above because I just saw him. So if I ult to give vision to my lane, it can pressure her off, but she can also proceed to gank them. Why? Because she has flash up and she has cleanse up. So what I try to do then is, let's hold on and check the clip, is I port here and then I stun her, so she needs to either leap me or she needs to flash cleanse on the ADC, which she does, and then the Rakan noticed it, the Saya noticed it, so the Rakan was sitting below me when I was stunning her here, because I'm here and Rakan is here. Saya is here, and Katarina instantly flashed cleanse to try and get reset on the Saya and ult, and then maybe go on us because we weren't that healthy and she does really high damage. And this ends up with me stunning the Kata, and when Kata leaps, then she's free to Rakan knock up and she ends up getting killed for free. And it was really well played, more by me than anyone else, because I foresaw this play and I played it accordingly, and my team played also up to my expectations in preventing the Katarina, and I just analyzed it really beautifully and kind of orchestrated the play as intended, and it just went everything as planned from everyone's side, how I saw the play happening. I chased the Twitch. I thought he had like no ult or flash, so I'm all-inning him, and then I get really surprised, and this was really bad for me, but I just apply some random pressure onto him and he's following me for some reason. And then he's just taking the rift. Since I was on the Twitch and the Katarina just spawned, I wanna shove out the lane so I can then recall, and I believe I'm close to getting Rod, or I might have Rod at this point, so I'm just shoving out the wave, and then I'm gonna recall here, but Twitch is gonna cancel it, so he's just waiting to cancel it with one auto attack or two, which is fine. So I'm trying to do the same thing against the Katarina, where will let her shove in because she's maybe gonna look for something else, or she's gonna play it safe. And he keeps doing this. Like, her playstyle is really weird because she always tries to be on the lookout to push out and do something. Here it seems out to be working for her because she's about to engage me, but she has no cleanse, she has nothing, and I know she can't really do anything with it. So I end up just surviving it because it's relatively easy to just stun her and cancel her burst. and reset. I ping my button that she's coming down again, but Xin Zhao and bot lane already cleaned up and they're already moving out, which ends up with Katarina just resetting and doing the same thing. I finally get my rod and I can head back to lane. So let's just speed it up a bit. And again we see Katarina hugging, shoving the wave and roaming. She always does this, she's always on the lookout for the same play, and she's not looking at anything anymore to create pressure within the lane. And the CS are still about the same. The Eloy is losing hard. I predict and dodge her shimpos, and it's a relatively easy kill to pick up. Because I know Rakan was here, so I let her basically leap me, and I just played around her shimpos and E's, and it was an easy pickup to be had. Here I'm shoving out because I believe Twitch can't 1v1 me, and even if he does, I have the Xin Zhao nearby to run towards. So I'm just shoving out aggressively, and Twitch has never really been around mid or done anything in the game. So he's not at a scary point to 1v1 me, and when he's shown bottom, I know I can just freely shove the turret in and take it by the time Katarina comes back. And I can also clear this wave because I only need 2 Qs for it, and I can kite it backwards until I see the Katarina and just clear the entire wave. Here I see her do the plant, so I play around the side, I ward it, and then I try to play zone while my team is taking Infernal in case she wants to contest or do something cheeky play. So I just zone and respect her accordingly, so there's no possible play to be had. Yet again she shoves in the wave, and she doesn't really change her style, which I discovered. And by this point I already out CS her, so I've already caught up and I've already done way more than she has. And she's basically at a really weak point, whereas I've scaled. And she must really feel frustrated with her teammates because they're losing all around, and her jungle really hasn't accomplished much, which with a cheese pick that takes a really long time to scale before it actually deals damage at this point of time. I see enemy bot lane being overextended, so I gank them. I know Rakan is there, and here I actually play bad because I could have locked the yellow card, we could have gotten the kill, but he ends up flashing away. I try to chase even though it serves no purpose, and the minions block me because I can't move through them. So it's just bad I didn't get the first gold card, which was a bit just slow reaction on my part, and the guy held on to his flash until I actually locked the gold card, rather than flashing right away. So he could have died, because he was greedy with his flash. However, my bot lane ended up getting him anyway for some reason, which is peculiar. And the Katarina is just trying to do something. So she goes on to the Shen. She can't get the Shen because she needs to double leap, and the Shimpos didn't land for her to pick up the blades or reset. I know this, so I proceeded to chasing her. I flash her because I know I can beat her 1v1, and my second W is coming up, but it ends up with her flashing away, and I'm just applying more pressure. And I know we can shove the top turret because they just got him, and the bot lane is gonna head botwards. And even if Katarina and Twitch come, they can't beat us. Why? Because Katarina just used her summoners, and it's a relatively easy 3v2 even if they come or try to contest. Here I try to see if they screw up any of their movements. So I play over the wall to see whether Katarina goes in or not. The Shinzao just flashes and one-shots the Twitch accordingly, and there's nothing really much to be said at this point. Because we're just taking the objectives, and for some reason the Heimer and the Katarina goes in, which is a mistake on their part because they knew our team was here, and basically the enemy team just, the game is pretty much done. I don't think they're playing or trying anymore, and we can see that by the score. I see the MF ulting, so I know I can ult behind her and pick her off too. And there's no risk because they don't really have a team up to protect her if I ult in their base. And I just end up, the Twitch ends up dying yet again on spawn. I'm staying top side because I know I can clear the incoming wave relatively safely, while my team puts pressure and shows mid, because the enemy team needs to prioritize that. I do a couple of more auto attacks to try and bring down the turret closer, and the enemy team are just really struggling all around. They can't find success, they're losing all turrets. The game's pretty much done unless we really throw the game, which shouldn't really be possible. So let's just speed up the game because it's heading towards its end. The Shinzao tried to make a play on the Heimer, but it's too far away. The MF ends up dying anyway with the Heimer, because the Rakan goes in and ults. We end up getting the mid turret and they surrender. Which is not surprising, because that's what should have happened anyway. But what I wanted with this game, even though it was a really snowball heavy game, was the nature as to why it played out like this and what happened early game. So if I'm gonna list the facts one more time, it's, I discovered two tendencies on Katarina. One, she liked to shove. Two, she always hugged the bush, and she usually did it towards her jungler. What this allows me is I can then I can then play the lane safe by allowing her to believe I'm recalling at the turret or next to a wall, which, well, we can see the wall above here. And she will continuously shove out the wave and let it crash into me so I can freely farm in CS. And the Twitch didn't really have much success. Their bot lane was shoving in, and no one wanted to gank for the Eloy because they know it didn't matter whether Shin gets ganked or not. And they want to play around the Infernal and the Squisher members on our team to abuse with their early game and glass cannon. So for me, this game was really easy to play in lane phase, but I wanted to demonstrate and analyze with this game as to why it went wrong, which I stated with the Twitch and then their bot lane and how they prioritize success around the Katarina knowing she was the best player, or the bot lane actually shoving it in, which didn't allow Twitch to do anything even though he started red and headed down blue because they were shoving in. And then I was just abusing the Katarina's two tendencies that I found. So for me it was a really easy game to lead and play out against because of these facts. And it wasn't just their team comp being really bad, but how the nature of the game played and why it played like this was pretty obvious looking back on it, and that's why I wanted to analyze it for you guys and point out the things that did. And the last thing which I want to re-mention is Katarina should have been around Master because she was smurfing with like 80% in D2. So I knew she was on the outlook to play aggressive and abuse her champion against mine. And this then this then allows me to think that she didn't really get much done from it, because I knew how she wanted to play and what her intended playstyle was, and it was really easy to deduct for me and basically play around it, because I knew her intentions, I knew her aggression, and it wasn't really hard for me to counteract it. And now I noticed I fucked up the majority of the replay because I actually didn't have the mouse cursor available, because I was doing other things with Epic Pen and it actually failed the majority of the game, now that I checked OBS. Which actually makes me really sad now that I think about it, because I was doing a lot of drawings and now I can't really explain them more than vocally. So if you understood what I meant through words, I'm sorry, because I stopped and I drew up a lot of things, but it didn't show up in OBS, which I don't know why. But I was basically also disabling the mouse cursor so you couldn't see it, but I pointed out pretty well vocally, I believe, in the replay, for you to understand what happened in the game and what as to why it happened, because she was hugging the bottom side, the Twitch was hugging the bottom side, and she kept like shoving in the lane and then leaving for bottom, and she did pretty much the same thing continuously throughout the game, which just allowed me to abuse it. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Sorry about the epic pen, and I only noticed at the end of the video, which is basically gonna make me look retarded, but if you manage to stay through the entire video, you now understand why I might look a bit retarded pausing the videos and doing nothing with my mouse cursor disappearing. So I apologize again for that, and I hope you enjoyed some elements of the video as much as I did. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next YouTube video or live stream.